Now, Count on 2, live and local in the Lowcountry. This is News 2 at 6.
Good evening, I'm Carolyn Murray.
And I'm Brendan Clark. Today, the man arrested on a murder charge 6 years after the disappearance of his wife appeared before a judge in bond court.
Robert Bob McCaffrey was extradited back to the Lowcountry last night. Our cameras were rolling when Charleston County Sheriff's deputies escorted him into custody. News 2's Deanne Roberts was there when he arrived last night. Deanne, you saw that whole scene take place, and you were also in the courtroom today during today's bond hearing. She joins us now from the News Center with the latest.
Deanne, McCaffrey has always claimed his innocence.
That's exactly right, Brendan. In fact, for years, even when News 2 showed up on his doorsteps, he proclaimed his innocence. Fast forward to today, McCaffrey is facing a murder charge, and today in bond court, he waived his hearing, but that was after he was missing for several minutes.
At this time, I need everyone to exit except for Robert McCaffrey.
Wait, let's stop the video for a second. We're looking for this man, Robert Bob McCaffrey. Do you see him?
He's not here.
Which explains why you may not have spotted him out. But just take a look and see what happens next.
We need Robert McCaffrey brought in.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Okay, yes.
Is he right there in that area?
No, he's not. I was given a call earlier about that.
We weren't able to find out what that call was exactly about, but the judge still requested McCaffrey's presence.
When you get your hands on him, bring him on in.
Yes, ma'am. I'll go ahead and get him right now.
4 suspects, and almost 20 minutes later,
Your Honor, I have Mr. McCaffrey right here.
All right, thank you for your name.
McCaffrey making his appearance in bond court.
Robert McCaffrey, correct?
Yes.
Yes being the only word he uttered while in bond court. McCaffrey's attorney made a motion to waive his bond hearing, and McCaffrey agreed. He's facing a murder charge after the Charleston County Sheriff's Office says he's responsible for his wife's death. Gail McCaffrey, she disappeared in March of 2012. And although her remains are still out there somewhere, her family says this arrest is one step closer to some closure. When I spoke with the Charleston County Sheriff's Office, they told me the search doesn't stop here. They say this is a pending investigation, and their goal is to find Gail McCaffrey's body. In the Alert Center, Deanne Roberts, Count on 2.
A shooting in Walterboro leaves a person dead and 2 people injured. Meanwhile, police are searching for suspects and a motive. News 2's Stetson Miller spoke with a neighbor who called police after hearing gunshots.
Starting around 9:20 on Wednesday night, police here in Walterboro responded to a shooting where 2 people were wounded and 1 woman was killed. Neighbors say there has been a history of shootings in this area.
On the 400 block of Savage Street, Walterboro police officers found 2 victims outside of this house when they responded to the shooting that happened on Wednesday night. Another victim was already taken to the hospital. Clayton Crosby, who lives near the home, said he called 911 when he heard gunshots.
I seen people hurt on the ground, and one in a car that had been shot, and he left and went to the ambulance, to the hospital itself.
One of the victims, 18-year-old Erica Caldwell, was pronounced dead after being taken to Collison Medical Center. She died from multiple gunshot wounds. Police don't have any information on a suspect or a motive at this time, but Clayton says this isn't the first time he's heard shootings in the neighborhood.
In this neighborhood alone, probably they've been the people that's been shot by drive-by shootings and all of that, probably 15 people.
Now, if you have any information on this shooting, you're asked to call the Walterboro Police Department. In Walterboro, Stetson Miller, Count on 2.
A News 2 alert for you today. The city of Charleston has announced its new fire chief. Daniel Curia has 28 years of experience, including 15 years as a chief officer, also a master's degree in leadership from Grand Canyon University. Most recently, Curia was fire chief in Durham, North Carolina. The city has been looking for a new chief since Karen Brack stepped down, her last day, April 7th of last year. Happening now, the unveiling of a new plan for cyclists who travel safely around downtown Charleston. People will receive a close-up view of the maps and learn what's next. News 2 Sophia Arzosa is live in downtown Charleston at Edmonds Oast Brewing Company. Sophia, this is certainly music to the ears of cyclists who maneuver around that peninsula.
Brendan, a long-awaited plan, 3 years in the making. If you've been to downtown Charleston recently, you've probably noticed more bike racks like this one and bike sharing stands. Well, that's in an effort to get more people pedaling to help ease traffic congestion as well as parking woes. But people we spoke to today say they simply don't feel safe enough to cycle around the peninsula. The city of Charleston tonight introducing a plan meant to change that with roadway solutions to help create a grid for safe travel for people on bicycles. Over the past 3 years, they've spoken to more than 1,300 people to find out what paths they like to use to travel and what needs to be done to make them feel more comfortable. Today, I spoke with the executive director of Charleston Moves, who says this plan will affect everyone, regardless of whether they ride bikes or not.
If you are a motorist, think of how many times you've been driving downtown and you've been really concerned about, is a biker going to pop out in front of me? Is there enough room for me to share space with that cyclist? All of those nervous moments that you have as a driver sharing space downtown, this plan helps address that.
The plan unveiled today is really just the groundwork. There will have to be a series of projects to make it a reality. They tell me they hope to start with the simpler, cheaper projects first and work their way up. Some roads just require a new paint job with arrows to help clear confusion. Others require an entire new bike plan. If you want to come check out the plan and speak to people who helped create it, you're welcome to here at the Edmonds Oast Brewery until 8 p.m. Reporting live in downtown Charleston, Sophia Arzoza, Count on 2.
All right, Sophia, thank you. A sixth arrest has been made in an Adams Run homicide investigation. Authorities were called to Parkers Ferry Road 2 weeks ago, where they found the remains of 31-year-old Lewis Cadden. Today, 23-year-old Brianne Wells went through bond court. She was given $125,000 bond for accessory after the fact of murder and destruction or desecration of human remains. Brian Edwards and Sarah Giggleman are already behind bars facing the same charges. Sarah Kelly is charged with accessory after the fact. The coroner released the name of the child killed in a car accident that happened on Johns Island on Wednesday. 8-year-old Old Mary Harbor Watson died of injuries she sustained in that accident that happened on Maybank Highway. Pardon me, she was a third-grade student at Drayton Hall Elementary School. We are told extra staff will be on hand to console students.
A Charleston family is pushing for a ban on a paint-stripping chemical that caused the death of a brother and son. Drew Wynn was working on the floors of his business when the fumes from methylene chloride overcame him. He was found dead the next day. He's only 31 years old. So now the family is partnering with the Environmental Defense Fund plus federal lawmakers to push for additional regulation.
I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that something could kill you that way. And the idea that you can just buy something like that it's really impossible to wrap your head around.
Congressman Mark Sanford, along with U.S. Senators Lindsey Graham and Tim Scott, wrote letters to the Environmental Protection Agency also in support of this ban. Last January, the EPA suggested banning the chemical, but no official ruling yet.
Well, you will have to keep waiting to see how much you will continue to pay in surcharges to fund that failed multi-billion-dollar nuclear power project. Today, the state Senate adjourned without any more debate on a measure that would reduce South Carolina Electric and Gas's customer rates by 13% until the end of this year. Senators did approve the reduction last night, but they will not meet again until April 9th to continue discussion. Right now, 18% of your money goes toward paying off last year's failed project, and that equals about $27 a month.
A bill that could allow medical marijuana in South Carolina is making its way to the Senate floor for debate after 2 years. It's the Compassionate Care Act would allow doctors to prescribe cannabis to a patient for a number of disorders, including epilepsy and cerebral palsy. Lawmakers say it's a conservative bill that would put medicine in the hands of patients while avoiding negative consequences like addiction and recreational use. Supporters of the bill say the measure could also help the state in the fight against opioids.
We can address pain in a way that's much less addictive and much less side effects than opiates. So I think it's an effective way of taking on the opiate crisis. It is an alternative to prescribing those opium-based medicines to people.
Senator Davis says the bill has been in committee so long because lawmakers wanted to cover all areas of the proposal. The committee heard numerous testimonies from patients, law enforcement, as well as medical professionals.
Household appliances we might take for granted every day is the solution to a problem at a Lowcountry school. The Clean Laundry Initiative at Goose Creek High School is taking off. News 2's Berkeley County reporter Raymond Owen shares why administrators are calling the project a huge success.
Teachers here at Goose Creek are saying they hope this laundry program can help improve attendance. Amanda Cooper is a former lawyer. She now teaches law to high school students at Goose Creek High.
So last year I had several students that I noticed would come to school. Their attendance was spotty, and I always noticed them coming to school in the same clothing. So I spoke with our guidance department, and our guidance department had several students that would ask to use the telephone so that they could obtain change to go to the laundromat that day to wash their clothes.
Cooper discovered that nationwide, numerous students miss school because they can't clean their clothes at home. She gathered support from the community, including some donated supplies and washers and dryers, and a few weeks ago they began to wash clothes during school.
Okay, this is a problem. We do need to be involved. We're learning, that to give back and just help somebody that can't have what we would usually have at home.
Right now they can help about 15 students with laundry, and they hope to be able to expand that if that need increases. In Goose Creek, I'm Raymond Owens. Count on 2.
3 independent grocery store owners are buying closed buy-low grocery stores to bring the pig back to South Carolina. One new Piggly Wiggly will be here in the Lowcountry, bought out by David and Haley Smith. They already own one independent Piggly Wiggly store in Hollywood. The couple bought the buy-low store on Skylark Drive, West Ashley, where David started as a bagger. The sale is expected to close by the end of next month. The other new locations will be in Abbeville and Clover.
Happening now, News 2 and the Red Cross are teaming up for the Blood Drive Blitz, and you have a few minutes where you can get over there and still donate. It's open until 7 o'clock tonight. You can give at the Omar Shrine Center in Mount Pleasant or the Somerville Baptist Church in Somerville. Remember, a pint of blood can save up to 3 lives.
Next on News 2.
Well, do you have plans for heading out for dinner tonight or perhaps even this weekend?
If you do, we'll let you know which grades health inspectors gave your favorite dining spots. It's this week's Restaurant Report Card.